happy Self Love Sunday. I am Tarnisha Mosas, your host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your vision strategist coach who comes every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which we can better our best. Happy Sunday. Wow, we are literally at the end of September. Time is just flying by. And, I don't know about you, but have you ever felt like you've been doing everything right and working on yourself, pushing through obstacles, but it still feels like life is pulling you back? That no matter how hard you grow, no matter how hard you work, something is it's like it's still just something there holding you back. Well, I was feeling that way. If I'm being really honest, I was like, man, I'm doing all these things, I'm, consistently, working on me, and then I had to stop for a second, and I was just like, you know what? Hold on for a minute. And it started me down um this road of doing some research because that's my personality, right? It's like when something comes up for me, I don't just sit in it. I don't try to wallow in it. I try to research it. And it led me to Oprah Winfrey's story. And I think about how she's one of the most successful and influential women, African American women in the world today. But her journey wasn't easy, right? Growing up in extreme poverty, she was abused. She I believe she said she was like raped and just went through crazy adversity, right? And I was like, she could have let all those challenges define her. Remember even when she was an anchor, yeah, people were on her about her looks, and she actually got fired, I believe, because she was told she wasn't fit for television. But then I thought about like she didn't let any of that stuff hold her back, like none of it, right? She just kept pushing forward, pushing towards the mark. I know she had to feel like, man, I'm working super hard. Coming from the dirt, the really, you're talking about somebody getting out the mud, and people could say what they want about Oprah now. I think about people's beginnings, right? There are some people that are handed some lives, and there are some people that literally came from absolutely nothing. And she said once, like, turn your wounds into wisdom. And she talked about how she had embraced the changes that life threw her and use them as opportunities to grow. And I was just like, you know what? That is such a profound way to look at things. And how often, when things happen in our lives and tragedies or setbacks, or you feel like you're doing the right thing, and it's just so interesting that I'm even having this dialogue because I was thinking about it even this morning as I'm laying in the bed, I'm talking to God, and He led me to Luke 16, and essentially, if I sum it up, it's like you can't I think it was like you can't both love both God and money, and also talking about being trusted with little. Now granted, I'm talking to you as things are coming to me, but it was just like how I'm interpreting in this talk today is, can you be trusted through the season of change? Can you be trusted while you feel like you're in a storm? Can you be trusted? Will you maintain your character? Will you maintain your integrity through the change, right? Because when I think about how her story, it's like no matter where you are in life, real transformation is possible when you embrace change. So can I trust you in the change? Can I trust you in this season, right? And I was also, thinking about her, and then I started watching this podcast, and it comes on YouTube, and it's Pastor Keon Henderson and his wife Shawnee Henderson, and it's called The Grow Zone. And the title of this particular podcast was like, a call, work too hard to stay the same. In this episode, they were talking about how we can get stuck in patterns, in the same patterns when we resist change. And, it's like, I think about how sometimes, stuck in the same, loop of life. And I've talked about this in previous videos, how sometimes it's great. One of the reasons why it's great to journal is because it can often show you where every year you may end up on the same loop. And it could be possible that you're doing that because you're not embracing change. And you're not putting in the effort to actually grow yourself, and sometimes you're even putting in the effort to grow yourself, but you're still resisting the fact that, hey, listen, there's change, and it's not going to look the same, and it's not going to be the same, and you can't look for the same clues and indications in life because there is change, right? So I believe this message is especially important for those of us who are going through the shift in life too, and I'm talking about the women who are experiencing menopause, but also the middle-aged men and women. This is a period This is a real period of transition. We've many of you, if you're like me, have been in your careers for years. I've been in corporate America 27 years, and now it's a shift. Also, our children are being grown. They're turned into adults. They're growing up, so there's a shift in family dynamics, and there's a shift to also rediscover yourself, right? And you're navigating physical and emotional changes in our lives. And sometimes, and it's actually, I'm going to shout out my girlfriend Tiffany Smith, who I absolutely adore, because we had this conversation, and she was just like, the biggest battle is not accepting the change that is happening in my life, not accepting the fact that this is where I am now. Acceptance doesn't mean settle, and that's something that I had to learn, because in my mind, I'm thinking, accept this. What do you mean accept it? Accept it to acceptance. I was taking it as settling, and that's not what it means. It's just accepting the fact that there is this change that's happening in my life, and now my body is doing this thing and it's feeling this thing, and in accepting instead of fighting against it. And the acceptance is what will help you ride the wave. And so, one of the things that they talked about in the podcast, and Keon, I mean, I just was like, wow. He said, change ain't change until you've changed. And I was like, whoo, because sometimes in our mind, we think we've changed. And how do you know that you really changed? Is when you come up against that opposition, or you come up against something of the past, and you answer the call differently, right? It's a powerful reminder that growth only happens when you commit to evolving. Like, have you truly committed to evolving, or have you really committed to a comfort zone, but saying that you've changed in theory, right? Like, it's just, I was just like, man, I was blown away. And I was just like, well, how do I know I've changed, right? How do I know I'm not operating on the same paradigm or the same thought pattern? And interestingly enough, your kids will let you know, okay? I don't know about you, but kids will test your gangster. But it was something that happened where my grandson had visited, and it was not too long ago. He came and he visited, and he did something, and he was upset about it, and he was crying about it. And I came to him, and we were having this dialogue, this conversation, and I was talking him through his emotions. And my daughter Gamora and my son Cameron, which are the two youngest out of the six, they were in the kitchen and was like, "What? She never did that with us." And in my mind, I was like, "Aren't y'all the same?" Because those Gen Zs. Aren't you the same ones that said that that was toxic, right? Like, you said that that behavior that I distributed before was toxic. Now you want me to distribute that behavior with him. I'm not that same person. I've grown, I've evolved. I understand that maybe the way that I handle things with you guys, which when I had you, I was in my late 20s, early 30s, is not the way I'm going to handle this now that I'm entering into my late 40s, right? It's different. I've evolved. And so the change came in the way I handled the situation, knowing how I would have dealt with it when they were younger versus how I dealt with it with my grandkids. It's that thing, right? But I just, when I think about it though, for middle-aged people, right? Because when I'm talking about middle age, I'm talking about those that, like, we are locked in to this like 40 to like 55-ish range. Like, we're just in the middle, right? It's sometimes it can feel like we're settled into a routine and not understand that that routine was great to get us to this season, but it's not going to be the routine that's going to carry us into the next. And so, and it can feel overwhelming. But what I want you to do, and every time I come, I'm going to give you some things. I want you to redefine your comfort, right? Because comfort feels safe, but that can also lead you into stagnation. And remember, I said accepting where I am doesn't mean that I'm going to settle for where I am. It's just accepting that, okay, I'm at a phase in my life where I'm about to cross over. I'm about to cross over into new roads, new territory, new things. As I approach, I'm on the cusp of going into 50. Things are gonna change. I'm on the cusp of, okay, retirement is coming. 27 years. My plan is to retire at 30. So is I'm on the cusp of things, right? And so you have to start to look at this a little bit different and challenge your comfort zone and ask yourself, where am I playing small? Can I do more? Can I expand more? Can I explore more? So for those of you who don't know, I have my own coaching company, right? So I'm already in that thought pattern of when I retire, I'm going into my own business. This is where I want to be. But for some people, you may not want to be a business owner, right? So, what is that thing you want to do? And you may not have to work when you retire, but what is that thing that's going to fulfill you, right? Where can you expand yourself, just grow just a little bit more, right? And then ask yourself, what changes am I avoiding because of fear? You gotta be, listen, you if you are not real, you cannot heal. That means you cannot get to the other side of the thing. That means you're gonna stay on the loop. You have to be honest with yourself. And you may think, because I'm gonna tell you right now, right? Um, I know sometimes I think that I'm being honest with myself. Like I'm like, no, like that's really how I feel. It wasn't until I got into therapy where I got to dig a little bit deeper in layers and I realized that I was still masking some things. And I'm going to say that I am going to come every single time and I'm going to say, it is Jesus plus therapy for me. It doesn't have to be for you. You can call on whoever you want to call on in terms of your God and higher power and things of that nature, right? And I'm going to tell you that therapy is not one of those things where you should be in reactive mode. It should be something that you should proactively do. Why? Because why wouldn't I use every tool in my toolbox to help me to become a better version of myself, to help me see where there's necessarily roadblocks and fear that I'm not even aware of? And it's so interesting to me that people will pay fees for, and I don't want to steal this thunder. Pastor Keon Henderson did say it, but it struck a light bulb in me to say that so many people will pay extra fees for convenience for DoorDash and Uber and things of that nature, but won't pay for the change and growth that they need in their life. And guess what? It costs, whether it is you purchasing a book or whatever. And as a matter of fact, to get ready for the fall, I just purchased my two new books, Sarah Jakes Roberts' Power Moves, and I purchased his Lazy Love book, right? Why? Because I consistently want to evolve and grow, because I believe that when you stop learning, you stop living, and you stop reaching, right? So there's something beyond getting beyond the comfort zone. So here's an activity that you can do. Create a fear list. Write down the things you've been avoiding or pushing off because they are outside of your comfort zone. And I used to do a thing, and I'm going to get back to it. I said, come in 2025, I'm gonna get back to it. I used to go on a vacation every summer, and I would do something that scared the life out of me. I talked about jumping off that cliff in Puerto Rico so many times, but I did those things because I wanted to not be afraid and not hold myself back, and to know that I can do things that, listen, I can't swim. I wanted to know though that I'm still not gonna feel the fear and allow fear to hold me back. So make a fear list, right? Whether I start a new hobby that you're afraid to do because you think somebody's gonna think something about you or whatever. Have a difficult conversation that you're afraid to have. Pursue a new career path. Listen, going into entrepreneurship is scary. It's one of the scariest things I've ever done. Because you are the system. You have to rely on you. When I'm in corporate America, I don't have to rely on me. I can just go in and do my job and leave and go home if I wanted to. But in your own career, you are the marketing, you are sales. You have to speak and create things that people need to help them through whatever they're going through. That can be scary because people are fickle. You know what I mean? So people spend more money on things that they don't need more than the things that they do need. That's why people are stockpile. You'll see, you can go in their homes and go in their cabinets. It's full of things that they buy that they don't eat, that they don't use. You can go in their bathroom, it's full of skincare that they don't necessarily use. You can go in their closet, they buy clothes that they may or may not even wear with tags still on it. People spend more money on things they know don't need versus things that they need. So when you come in and you say, hey, listen, I'm a vision strategist coach, and I understand that you don't need another tactic and you don't need another strategy, is that you need clear vision. And we can set your vision up and write the goals to help you get through it. Also, I have created this beautiful community called 1% Nation, where you come to you're held accountable, you get the coaching that you need, you're going to be stretched, you're going to grow. People will be like, what? No. That's not what I need, right? So it's just very interesting, and so beyond that, that's still a feeling, that's not really real though. I know that for there's so many people that are not interested, there are many people that are. So it's all perspective at the end of the day. That's why the fearless is important, because it also allows me to see my mindset, the way that I'm thinking, because sometimes it's your mindset that's holding you back, right? So create the fearless. And then, I was, so as we were watching, as I'm watching this, the podcast, I'm like, wow. um when Shawnee, his wife said, all change starts with having a better relationship with yourself. And talking about self compassion and grace, you have to give yourself grace as you're going through this change, as you're evolving, because you're not going to get it all. There are going to be some things ahead that you can't see, but you have to give yourself grace to know that everything is going to be okay. And you just have to ride the wave. But you got to be kind to yourself. If you talk bad to yourself, if you judge yourself harshly, if you treat yourself bad, that's why you do it to others. Let me tell you something. There is something going on right now, and it's everywhere. Everybody and their mother is talking about Sean P. Diddy Combs, his, the things that he did, and all of these bad and negative things. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you that I've come to understand. I've come to understand that the very things that you judge so harshly, that you put out there about others, you're masking something about yourself. I've learned to shut my mouth and mind my business. Now, here's the thing. I lo- I will always stand for one thing and one thing only. And that is, if you do harm to others, it is coming back full circle. I, I don't have to be the one to expose it. I don't have to be the one to shout it out loud. I don't have to rage bait. I don't have to talk negativity to get views. That's life. It's going to come back around. But what I'm not going to do is spend my morning, noons, and nights going over and over again about what's the downfall of somebody, when I need to work on some things about myself. Yeah, like, do you guys get that? We don't have the time. We don't have the time. All of that is a distraction. All of that is a distraction from your growth, your purpose, and where you're headed. So the reason why people do that is because they don't want to spend the time working on growing themselves. Why is it that you have a heart for tearing other people down? Why is it that you have a heart for gossip? Why is it that you have a heart for negativity? What is it that you're avoiding? That's the question I have for you today. And then you got to start to prioritize yourself. When you sit with yourself and start to make your fear list. What is it that, where is that I'm playing small at? Where is it that I need to grow at? Why am I spending time gossiping, or in this arena? What could I be doing? How could I make a better relationship with my family members? Listen, that's something that I'm thinking about even right now as I'm speaking to you. How can I make my relationship better with my children? I understand that I'm in a total different generation. They think different, they feel different, they talk different, right? And I want to come to understand that, as opposed to always pushing against it. So that's the question that you have to ask yourself. But you also have to get away from this guilt of self-care. It is not, self-care is not indulgence, it's a necessity. It's, if you don't love and care for yourself, you will not be able to love and care for anyone else. It is just the truth. And we always hear the cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't. And you also can't pour from a negative one. You also can't pour from a negative one. Be the change that you want to see. If you want to see things, change in this world, like, where women are not afraid to speak their trauma and their truth, well, then don't be the one to gossip about them when they do. How about that? How about learn to embrace the fact that that's their truth? That's that. I'm not here to debate that. Here's what I can do, though. I can get with my truth. What is the truth of me? Am I truly loving the life that I'm living? Or, like, real talk, am I designing my life the way I want to? How about you schedule a weekly non-negotiable self-care hour? How about you do that? And in that hour, you take time to meditate on the things that we just talked about. Take time to meditate on the fact of, where am I headed? What is it? What do I really, where do I really want to be in life? What do I really want to do? Who do I need to become in this season? Take the chance, take the time to do that. And also, you know what? You can take time also just to take a hot bath. All the time is not about spending money. And I'm the person that's going to tell you, every single month I go get a massage and I go to the chiropractor. That's a part of my self-care hour. Do those things for yourself. You know what? When you do something or you make a mistake, don't be so incredibly hard on yourself. Have that conversation to say, where can I learn from this? But I'm not going to beat myself up. It's going to help you not beat others up. It's going to help you with your patience level. You don't have patience with people because you don't have patience with yourself, right? And also, there's another part in this where you may not have patience with yourself or other people because you're outgrowing some things. You're outgrowing some of that old mindset. You're outgrowing, the gossip part of your life. Listen, I did it too. I was, yes, did I sit on the phone and talk about people? Yes, I did. But I'm at a point in my life where that doesn't matter anymore. Why? Because I'm at a point in my life where I desire to live in my purpose, on purpose, every single day. And that's me growing myself so I can help grow other people. That's become more important. And so as you start to outgrow things, you have to make a list sometimes of saying, do an audit in your life. What are some of the things that I've outgrown? Who are some of the people that I've outgrown? Who energizes me? Who drains me? Write that list down. And that doesn't mean, like, and I want to be clear, right? Because as I grow, that doesn't mean I look back and say I'm better than those people. No, I'm just in a different situation. That means I'm different. I'm not better, right? And so in that difference, you don't have to, knock those people. You don't have to talk bad about those people, but you do have to shift. Listen, you don't have to talk bad. You don't talk, and you do get to shift. You don't have to do anything. You can understand that you get to shift out of that season. You can still love them from a distance. And that doesn't mean you have to make this big announcement. I don't know what it is with people with these big announcements on social media about what they're going to do. Why do I have to announce it to the world? How about just do it? You don't have to come to the internet and talk about them. I'm watching people destroy themselves. They think that they're destroying the other people. You are destroying yourself. Who would trust you with them, with themselves? I know one thing for certain, two things for sure. If I'm watching anybody come to the internet and blast and destroy people, why would you think that I would trust you with any part of my heart, any part of me? I wouldn't. That's insanity to me. I don't care what the other person does. I really live this life. I don't care what anybody. Listen, I've heard people say some of the most foul things about me. The one thing I'm not going to do though, am I going to do I have feelings about it? Yes, because I'm human. And what I decide to do is I decide to take it inside. Now I'm going to, like I told you guys, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm in therapy. I may go talk to my therapist about it. I may go talk to my coach about it if it's something in the coaching arena or in the business arena. And what I'm not going to do, and why am I doing that? I'm doing that to look and see, what about this may have brought this on? Is it something with me? Is it something with them? I like to analyze it because I know that I am not the end all be all, and I know everything about me isn't the gospel, right? I am not perfect, and no one on this earth is. So sometimes I look at it, and here's the thing. There's this old analogy that says, I chew the meat and spit out the bones. If it doesn't apply, I let it fly. What I'm not going to do is go back and forth with you on the internet. That is the most insane thing. People have lost all sense of value, all sense of morals. There's just some things that don't belong in on the internet. And the thing I think that a lot of the young people don't even realize, and it's not just the young people, because I'm watching people my age too, which that tells me that you have not done your healing work. And this is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. My children's children will get to see this video as long as the internet exists. They'll get to see what I have done, what I have created. Now, again, I'm not walking in perfection, so they may get to see my mistakes, but what they won't get to do is to see me on here talking about or dogging out their father or my mother and my father. Like, come on. What? Like that in itself should tell you that there's some growth that you need to do. And I don't care what they do. Well, listen, what they do is their business, and that's what they're going to have to answer to. When it's my time to set up for an answer, it's not going to be like, well, your mother and your father did this. No, you were born looking like your mother and father. You're going to die looking like your decisions. Now, that I did not get from that podcast. I was saying it long before then. So just in case you go and watch it, okay? I've said that in many videos. You can go check my videos from 2 years ago. I've been saying that. Now, I didn't say I invented the saying, but that's something that I've always said because I understand that you have it's every choice and decision that you make up until this point. And can you be trusted with a little? Can you be trusted during the storm of change? Can you be trusted? I have to ask myself that question. I have to ask myself that question. Can I be trusted? Can your mindset be trusted? Can your soul be trusted? Can your heart be trusted? Can you be trusted during the storm? And here's the thing, you may say, yes, you can. And that's why it's great to have other people in your life that's going to tell you the truth about yourself. Because sometimes we can't see our blind spots because that may not necessarily be true. That may not necessarily be true. Listen, I have a community of people that are in there, and some think, that, and I'm talking about when community. I used to be a head coach. I was a head accountability coach in a community for a 7-figure entrepreneur. And some of the things that people would come in and say that they wanted to do, they would say they wanted one thing, and all their actions would be not aligned to it. But and they're not honest with themselves. They can't even see that everything. If you say that you want to, you want to be healthy, not all about weight, you want to be healthy, but yet you still eat, fried food every single day and don't work out, that don't match up. Help me help myself. Like what? That doesn't make sense, right? So that's why it's also great to be in communities as you're evolving, as you're changing, as you're growing, because they can help you say, hey, listen, you're saying this, but your actions don't line up. You're saying you want to pay off your debt, but every time I turn around, you're at another event. You think, oh, because that event only costs $25, but that's $25 that could have went towards your debt. You say you want to save for retirement, and you're at the mall, and you're ordering DoorDash, right? And I'm not knocking anybody because I do order DoorDash. I'm just saying that what you want, your actions have to align with that, right? And then you have to do a relationship audit. Are the people around you pushing you towards greatness, or they allow you to stay stagnant because they're staying stagnant? Are you're feeling down, so they just let you feel down and go down a negative road with you? I promise you, with everything I love, that's why I love the people that I'm around right now. Because when I start that, they be like, "What? Like if you don't get your butt off your shoulders after all he's done for you, it's just right now. This is just you're just in the middle of a storm. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?" And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get up. That's the same energy that got me out the bed this morning. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna move forward. But I had to choose those people in my life. There are some people that, I haven't cut off because I don't believe in cutting people off. People would do their own thing that absolutely wouldn't talk like that. They're just gonna be like, yeah, and it's everybody gonna be as a woe as me in a pity party. You don't need that. You don't need that. So make your audit list. So in this video, the one thing I really hope that you got from it is that to embrace the change, to know that you can weather the storm, right? And also, make your fear list. Ask yourself, where are you playing small? As you're making your fear list and you're asking yourself where you're playing small at, as you're working on your growth, as you're working on your evolution of you, have some self compassion, have some grace for yourself. Don't beat yourself down. What is it that you need to help you go through that? Who is it that you need? Ask yourself some pivotal questions as opposed to beating yourself up. And then ask yourself, who am I around? Are these people going to help me during the change, or are they going to keep me stuck and stagnant and in the same place? And understand one thing for certain, two things for sure. You may not like it. Yes, but you do have to invest in yourself. You have to invest yourself. Listen, everything has different prices, whether it's books. You see me, I held up the two books that I just ordered. As a matter of fact, they just came today that I'm going to read, right? However you invest it, whether you decide to invest yourself for the book, whether you decide to invest in yourself for the coach, whether you decide to invest in yourself for the therapist, you choose it. You choose it. But the most important thing is that you start to embrace this change, practice self compassion, and recognize when it's time to move past people. This week, I'm challenging you. I'm really challenging you to take up one of these activities like that I talked about today and really commit to it. And I want you to come back in this video and let me know, what did you commit to do? Did you commit to the fearless? Did you commit to the 1 hour a day? Right? Did you commit to, being compassionate with yourself this week? Did you commit to making a list of people who drain you or energizes you, and making a decision of maybe that's one less phone call you need to take this week? I want to know from you, right? Pick one and commit to it. Keep your commitments to yourself, and watch how you come out on the other side. I hope you have the most amazing, amazing Sunday. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next week. Bye now.